Welcome to Take a Left, the podcast from the Socialists and Democrats group in the European Parliament. Artificial intelligence holds great promise, but also raises significant concerns. One of the biggest concerns is the potential for job loss from automation
as AI takes over tasks previously performed by humans. We believe that the benefits of AI must be shared fairly and that workers must not be left behind. So hopefully that was clear that those are the words of artificial intelligence via ChatGPT, not the approved words of our political group. But it's pretty convincing, right? Anyone who has a job that involves drafting, from social media copy to legal documents, even to computer programming, has probably been playing around with this software lately to see if they can try to replace themselves. AI is here. So what's the progressive response? As the EU drafts a globally significant law, the EU AI Act, we're making a progressive stamp on it. We're working to avoid AI becoming Big Brother, trying to ensure that a human-centric approach is taken. Ultimately, we're working to protect workers' rights and consumers' rights as AI automates elements of life. This has to be a benefit, not a cause for concern for workers and people across society. In early December last year, we held a workshop across Europe in multiple locations on designing societies where artificial intelligence works for all. Brando Benefei is the lead for our political group on artificial intelligence. My colleague Bernardo spoke to Brando about all this in Strasbourg.
Brando, what's the most exciting thing about AI?
I think AI will be able to let us develop new opportunities, new ways of doing things, create more time for ourselves, reduce the burden on many tasks that we do today. But at the same time, it is risky for our personal freedom, for our data protection, for our consciousness of what's happening around us, because we are talking about an evolutionary technology that needs to be put into a regulatory framework. That's what we are doing so that we are sure that all AI deployed in Europe is put into service of the interests of the people to create jobs, to create a better life for everyone and not put at the interest of the few.
We definitely need to regulate. Has anyone tried yet? Is the EU AI Act the first attempt to regulate AI?
The European Union is the first area in the world that tries a horizontal regulation of AI that encompasses all aspects to be sure that all high-risk AI are put into control, that people can trust that they have a safe environment of development of AI, and also those uses that needs to be prohibited, like biometric surveillance, the use of surveillance cameras for any kind of possible misuse, are forbidden. We want to be sure with this regulatory effort that we can create a model also for the rest of the world, at least open a debate with the rest of the world on the need for a human-centric, ethically driven AI that is really at the service of people and is not developed in a way that can create unnecessary harm.
What are we as Socialists and Democrats especially concerned about?
We have been fighting to strengthen all measures against discriminations and in favor of workers and vulnerable people in general. We want to create a context of development of AI in Europe that is clearly in favor of redistribution of power, of knowledge, and also of resources, so that AI is not helpful only for those that have already access to means in society that are knowledgeable, but can become a mean of emancipation, of freedom for all people. This means that we need to be tough in the discussions that we are having, or still in the parliament, and then with the member states, so that the interests of workers, the interest of low-income people, and also creative people that with their work of art and their ideas should not be exploited by big corporations that could think of training their AI by using their work without compensation. So you see a lot of areas where the issue of a socialist perspective needs to be put in place, and this is what we are doing, knowing that this is the only way to have a human-centered AI that can really serve the interest of all people.
Alex Saliba is a member of the European Parliament from Malta, and he's keeping an open mind.
So first of all, this is a very exciting time for us as an S&D political family, especially when it comes to the digital portfolios. Next week in Vienna, in our external group meeting, we will be approving our revised S&D digital policy paper, a 45-pager, which is, let's put it like that, our Bible when it comes to digital policy, touching from cybersecurity, touching to the AI Act. We have a whole chapter dealing with AI, touching upon data and all the aspects that we are dealing in right now at an EU level, and also our ambition of what we want to see during this legislature and also in the next legislatures. So, as I said in my remarks, we are trying to keep an open approach as much as possible. As an S&D political family, we are leaders when it comes to the biggest digital pieces of legislations. We were leaders in the Digital Services Act, in the Digital Markets Act. When it came to the GDPR, we introduced a number of concepts. We were leaders when it came to other pieces of legislation which are bringing a change in people's lives, such as the universal charger. And we will continue to do so. And we can continue to do so by maintaining this open approach, by listening, by continuing to increase our outreach, not only remaining in the Brussels bubble, but going directly as we are doing today in each and every member state. And as a political family here today, we are not discussing a futuristic dossier. We are discussing something which is affecting on a daily basis the choices of our consumers, the fundamental rights of our citizens. Therefore, it is really important in this whole process of negotiations, in this dialogue that we have within the European Parliament, at Council level, at Commission level, to do it right. And one of the most important aspects is the issue of giving the right information to our citizens to be able to enforce their rights when such important decisions are being taken by artificial intelligence.
For Alex Saliba, how we react to AI is similar to how we react to other digital trends.
Although the GDPR is important and it's covering a number of aspects, the power asymmetry out there, the imbalance between user rights and what these big tech giants are doing out there. Mm-hmm. This power asymmetry is huge, and that is why we need the AI Act. So, although we are being leaders at EU level, we were leaders when it came to the GDPR, we were leaders on the DSA, on the DMA. We are leading the way. True. But ultimately, it is a situation whereby the effects on the ground, I believe, are not being felt. Although I believe that when it comes to data, we have made great advances. Yeah. And when compared to our data market and how our data is being used to other continents, although there is now replication also in other continents, what we are doing, and this ripple effect when we are legislating and being leaders in the digital ecosystem at EU level, this will definitely leave its ripple effects in other continents. I believe that we should and we must do more, especially when it comes to these processes, which, as a lot of us are saying today, they are alien to the majority of our citizens.
Not tangible.
No, not tangible. Exactly.
Law enforcement is a key area of danger for misuse of AI, which the EU AI Act can avoid, as Alex Saliba says.
I think is a reality. Like predictive policing, which is a reality, which is a very dangerous reality. So these are realities that are surrounding us. I think that we are not at the same level as the US, China, when it comes to these very intrusive, let's put it like that,
Very true.
and which can be very discriminatory. But at the same time, I believe that it is also important to also make it clear in the AI Act, as we have in the first draft. It is clear, totally clear, and I think it is a line which is being accepted by all political groups at EP level and also, I think, at council and commission levels.
Generally, Brando Benefei is optimistic about the negotiations on artificial intelligence.
I would say cautiously optimistic because I see that the negotiations in the parliament are going well. We see that the parliament is mostly united in many of the crucial aspects. In fact, one topic that was discussed more in the Malta seminar, the one about the governance, is one of the topics where there are more differences in the approaches of the parliamentarians. But globally, I would say the parliament is quite united in defending a human-centric approach.
The EU's AI Act has the potential to set the tone globally, as well as protecting the 450 million inside the EU. We're determined to not replicate existing social inequalities like gender inequality. We have to regulate to protect workers' rights to make sure that no one's left behind. We also have to make sure that AI helps us live better, freer lives. So with the confidence that we'll do just that, I hand you back to our robot colleague to wrap up.
As Social Democrats in the European Parliament, we believe that the EU AI Act must prioritize people's well-being and human rights. We hope that our discussion today has shed some light on this issue. Thanks for listening.